As you all know, my name is John Stibal, President of First Industrial Redevelopment Enterprise. We've been doing new market tax credits since about 2007. And as I mentioned earlier, we get funded through the U.S. Treasury. They give us the credits. We monetize the credit by selling it to another bank, to a bank or whatever. And then we use the cash to be able to loan to businesses. So it comes through the Treasury. Every year we have to compete for it. And as I mentioned earlier, we get 10 in a row, which is the only one in the country. I think we get 8 in a row. So we're pretty happy about that. So I was looking for projects that we could fund now and fund in the future in our pipeline, so we get that into the application. We don't have to have it for sure, but just something that's seriously thinking about it. One of the things that's most important to us is the community impact of job creation. If we want to be able to get jobs, we also want to get business, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. Also, we want to make sure that the project is ready to proceed. That's always the problem. Everybody always thinks the project is ready to go today, so we'll work through that. Some of the projects that we've done recently, I just want to kind of go through them, is Charter Manufacturing, for example. We provided a $7 million allocation, and First Pacific Partners, which is another entity that has new market tax credits in Milwaukee, they do regional industrial projects. And I'll talk about how you can get new market tax credits outside of fire service area. Super Steel is another good example. Blast Cleaning Technologies in West Dallas is another good example. Tremont Manufacturing, another in Milwaukee. Palermo Pizza, we did a couple of projects with them. Just how many would you guess pizza did Palermo make in a minute? Just one guess.
Not enough.
Pretty darn close. If you would have said 800, it would have been great. It's amazing what they can make for pizzas. They make it for themselves, make it for other people. It's a marvelous manufacturing study. Bell City Square, Kenosha, they're doing some retail or housing up front. We don't really do housing. We like to do industrial, commercial. We'll do some mixed use. But we also worked with another community development entity to help fund that one, because we can't all do everything all by ourselves. And then the Kenosha Innovation Center is one that's coming up that we will be doing. That's how it would look in the capital stack. The Verdant Hotel in Racine just opened up. And Michael's, we were working with the city of Milwaukee, but they're trying to attract Michael's to come to Milwaukee to do a major facility, so we put a lot of new market tax credit in there, enough to make it work. EagleNet office building in Walker's Point, we help finance that. The fire is also flexible about how we deal with problems that come up. In this case, it was an incubator office facility. They were having problems trying to fill all of the units, or all of their spaces. So we're going to allow them to convert some of those office spaces to residential, which many office spaces are doing that. That just kind of gives you a flavor. How many bankers are in the room? Okay. Well, good. On this slide, new market tax credits is a tax-driven process. So it gets kind of complicated. For every deal we do, like a $5 million deal, for every deal we do, we spend $250,000 on attorneys. We pay for our attorneys, we pay for your attorneys, we pay for the bank's attorneys that buy the credits, we pay for the bank's attorneys that are making the loan to the business. That all comes out before we pay money to the business. So we take care of all those issues. But it's kind of like a funnel. All the money comes in. And one of the biggest issues of new market tax credits is that when the money comes in, on the day we close, all the cash has to be there. And sometimes we'll do bridge financing to be able to get the cash if it's going to be historic tax credits involved, or for some reason the cash isn't going to be right in there. That's how it flows down if it's given to business. As a leveraged lender, the tax credits are 39%, but you can't get them right away. The first 3 years is 5%, the last 4 years is 6%, the last 7, however. And then the bank that buys them has to make a profit. Then when they sell to us to make a profit, the fire takes our fees, And that's kind of how that works. One of the issues of a bank is the issue of collateral and amortization. Technically, we can't give the bank direct collateral to the business, and the amortization is also an issue. Well, we solve that issue by creating a special purpose entity. Let's see, I use Gary Schmidt back there as an example. Gary Schmidt creates Gary Schmidt LLC, and then the bank loans it to Gary Schmidt LLC, and then Gary Schmidt becomes the leverage lender and then loans it to the business. So the bank gets to be in their normal or their traditional position and makes them happy. The subordination part makes them happy because now all of a sudden, if the business comes in with 5% or 10% down, now they've got 20% or 25% down. And so fire will take more risk because of that. The benefits obviously are getting cash to the project. Every business has a problem with trying to raise capital, particularly if you're growing. All your money is going into getting new product and all that stuff to make your manufacturing. And then our below market rates, usually today's about 4%, or even sometimes less. Our loan terms are a lot different, are a lot easier than a bank. Now, as I was talking about new market tax credits for the area that west of the fire serves, is Milwaukee, Muskegon, and Kenosha counties. There are other areas eligible in the state of Wisconsin. And that, if you're in this other part of the state of Wisconsin, we can help you find a CDE, community development entity, that has credits that might be interested in providing a loan, or even nationwide. And this is the area of Milwaukee, Kenosha, and Muskegon County that we service in the green areas. That's where our targeted market is. Now, on FIRE's website,
are these low-income areas? Is this this special low-income area stuff, or is this? How do you determine what areas are eligible and which side of the street you have to be on and stuff?
Census data. The census tracks.
Okay.
Everything is on the census track, and basically, it's the lower income census tracts are the ones that they pick to be eligible. So that you're either in it or you're out of it. They won't move anything. So if the census tract runs down the middle of the street, this side is in and that side is out. And in this example here, in our fire website, in the upper right-hand corner is the map. You hit that one, it comes up with this map here. You put in the address that you're looking at trying to do, and it'll come up and tell you if it's eligible or not. In this case, this is in West Dallas. This was the Renaissance Center at 60th Street. Josh Controls was going to go in there. They were going to renovate the property for that. And so that just shows you that it's eligible. And there's two eligibility. One is eligible, and then there's severely distressed. And if it's severely distressed, it's eligible all by itself. And if it's not severely distressed, then we have to look at doing some other area, a TIF area, a redevelopment area, SBA hub zone. We can usually make it. We can get the Common Council to declare it spotlight or whatever. So we can get you to that eligibility. Here's a good example of a $10 million allocation. It was 39%. Why 39%? They just picked that number. And then after all that stuff I talked about before, has taken over 7 years, and then the bank makes their money and the buyer makes their money. And then it comes out, at the end of the day, you get about $2.1 million in cash that goes to the business for them to start paying their debts or paying their construction costs or development costs. We also look at jobs. When we're trying to pick who we're going to fund, we're going to ask them, what kind of jobs are you providing? We want two things. We want quality jobs and we want accessible jobs. In this example here, you can see at the right-hand side the high school. They're showing which jobs are high school eligible. That could be, the high school student could apply for that job. And the other ones are the quality jobs. How good are those jobs being paid? And I think for a quality job, it's only like $16.28 an hour or something like that. So for manufacturing, it's never a problem. And then what does fire do in terms of projects is interest rates are lower below the market, lower origination fees, interest periods are longer, a loan to value is a lot easier, a longer amortization period, a debt service coverage ratio, all the issues that the banks normally use were less than the bank. The bank can do all theirs. The bank's got to be happy. And then once we get the bank happy, we'll come in and we'll usually try to make it work. The big key takeaways from this, we'll be drinking pretty soon. The big takeaways is that the projects have to be at least $5 million, and that will generate $1 million loan. As I showed earlier, if we make it a $10 million allocation, it's over $2 million. And then a key factor, I think, to any bank is that we subordinate our financing to the bank. They particularly like that. And we're about 20% of your capital stack. Everybody has a problem with trying to put the whole deal together, and this is a good way to fill in a lot of area. And then the 7-year interest only feature, you don't have to amortize the principal on the million loan. It makes it a lot easier to swallow and to handle. And then low interest loan. Interest is usually about around 4% or less. I don't want to get too technical on that. And then we do real estate and equipment. And sometimes we'll do working capital, particularly if we got a project that's $4.5 million or something, and we need to get it over the $5 million mark, we'll throw in working capital. And so we're pretty creative about how we do that. We don't really do working capital all by itself. It's got to be with another project. And the biggest issue is our flexible underwriting criteria. So once you've got your loan maxed out and got your bank happy, we can usually figure out a way to make our underwriting standards fit with whatever project you're trying to do. And then the biggest feature is our 80% forgiveness of the loan at the end of the 7-year period. So in conclusion, this is our project service area. I kind of outlined in my presentation at the joint group the advantages of fire, and that's kind of what we have, is those big issues. If anybody has any questions, just ask the person next to you. So if you've got any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Are there certain requirements on, let's say, a new construction amount has to be, I guess, like square footage amount has to be just for manufacturing? Or is it, can you spend the money on employee welfare? I guess, is there allocations the funds have to go to?
No. However, we will look at that, at what it is, when we're trying to figure out what projects to fund. I mean, what we want to fund something that's going to increase the manufacturing capacity. Now, when we do working capital, that kind of rolls into that. Wages and benefits, we can roll that into the working capital part. So in a sense, yes. But if someone came in and said that's all we're going to do, it would be eligible but not hit our top mark that this is the project that we want to do. We have an advisory panel. Karen Gale is on that advisory panel. It's one of the people that talk about what is the community benefit of this project, because it's a very good project. And somebody's going to make a lot of money when they participate in this. But it's going to be that inducement that's going to get them to develop in the northern part of Milwaukee and the southern part of Milwaukee and the Seed area and the Kenosha area. And so that's the carrot that we're trying to offer to get you to do that.
I don't know if you want to add anything about, sometimes we work with equity as well, that we do a new market deal and then to try to make the deal happen.
Yes. Good example is we're working with another company that's trying to raise capital to do a major project. And Fire has in the past taken some of our banking profits and reload them back into a project as an investment. We invested in an office building and some other projects just as an investor. We're trying to do that more and more. If we believe in the project that we want to put new market tax credits in, we should also believe in the project to put some of our own equity in as an investment. You look at the project, we try to find the gap. What's the problem that's making this thing not go forward? Instead of making just all these general rules, we try to be very flexible so that we can identify exactly what the problem is and then target that particular problem so that we can finance it and get the project to go forward.
I think one other item to think about too is that we can go back in time. So if you have a deal that's starting to fall apart, and it's, working on it, they've started construction, all of a sudden something goes wrong, there's ways for fire to come in as well as far as the time frame. I think it's up to 2 years or something.
And we can go 2 years backwards and 2 years forward to make the $5 million or the $10 million, whatever the allocation is. It's a pretty flexible program. And we're also looking for projects that we can fund today. And we're also looking for projects that might be coming up in the future because we have to get that, we call it our pipeline. If the project's going to be done in a year or 2 or 3, we want to know what that is so that we can put it into our application. We have to show the CDFI Fund that we have projects that we can fund if they should approve us. And that's been one of our success stories is that we get some good projects, and manufacturing is kind of our sweet spot. The word industrial is in our name, but first we're Industrial Redevelopment Enterprise. So we're also looking for projects that somebody's thinking about doing that we'd like to talk to you about. Put them into our application. We can make it confidential. Nobody reads our application outside of the CDFI Fund and their folks. But if anybody's concerned about it, we can do that. Just so we can tell the story about what this project looks like, and so that when they score it, they can look at our application and go, oh yeah, they've got some good projects coming down the road that we might be able to finance.
I'm going to point out, I'm sorry, John.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, point out too is that, if you give a call to John or text him or something or email him, we're happy to meet with people in here individually as well. So it's not a matter, there's going to be stuff that you are doing that probably could be confidential, and you're trying to think about how does this fit in, and it's no different than school. None of us want to raise our hand on some stuff, and that's how life is. But we're more than happy to meet with people. Sit down and just discuss your project. So if you, like John is saying, if you know something, you're working with somebody in the next year or two, we can give a little more education. So if you're working with your clients and you say, hey, have you thought about using this tool? This is another way, to look at it from that angle too. It's not just maybe you're going to use it. It could be if you're an engineer or you're an architect or anything like that, and you're working with your clientele, and all of a sudden it seems like they're slowing down their thought process. Again, with John and part of our team, we can explain that in detail how it works, and you can turn them over to us or to our group that we work with, and they'll sit down with your client and discuss the process to see if it's right for them.
And we have our attorneys talk to the bankers' attorneys to make the bankers happy. We have Baker Tilly, Foley & Lardner is our law firm. Baker Tilly is our accounting firm. We'll have Baker Tilly talk to your CFO just to make everybody understand what the process is and make sure that they get comfortable with the process and they fully understand it. And that seems to work out very well. I think I mentioned we were audited once by the IRS. And I used to complain about spending $250,000 on legal fees. And I decided I don't complain about that anymore. The room was full of, like this room, full of auditors. We're sitting up with our attorney and our accountant, portfolio. So how'd you pick us? And he said, luck of the draw. And I said, why so many people here? He said, well, we've never audited a new market tax credit transaction, so they all want to learn about new markets. Oh, good, we're going to teach IRS about new market tax credits, so that's what we got to do. 2 years later, they go, everything's great, carry on. So now I don't complain about spending money on it.
And just so it doesn't sound like everything's just easy to do, every annually you do have to submit some reports. There's things like that. This is a federal program, so the federal government always has a little bit of a hook because they have to justify their program, right? It's where if they want to put another $100 billion or what they're going to do into the program, they got to prove to Congress that, hey, we created this many jobs, we built out this much stuff, we helped this area. Then, so we, basically our firm, I mean, the firm with Baker Tilly, they, on our behalf, they collect a lot of that data. That then goes back into the federal system to say, here's how successful it was. And that's, you know, that's really is a key component. The only reason I'm saying this is that, you know, it does take a little bit of effort after the fact. You know, so the deal's done 7 years later is when it's like John says, 85% is forgiven, but there are steps to get you there from that standpoint.
Now, this annual reporting, it's not onerous, you know, how many jobs you can create, what's like wages, what on one slide I showed, that's pretty much what it is. And when you're going through the development process, whether it's new construction or equipment, we have a draw review process that we have to submit draws, and we just like a bank. And usually the money's deposited in the bank, and then we also approve the draw. The bank approves the draw. Yes.
I walked in late, so forgive me if I missed this. Does fire then reapply and re-top up the amount of millions of dollars that you have available to get funding?
Yes.
And how often does that happen?
Every year. We apply every year. We also apply for 100 million. They give us 30, 40 million. But it's very competitive. I mentioned we got 10 in a row. The last one I heard, somebody else got 6 or 7 in a row. So we've been, and I always want to say it's a pretty face. And everybody laughs at that. I went through that up. But we do what we say we're going to do. That's I think our success is that we tell the CDFI Fund, this is what we're going to do. Community Development Financial Institutions Fund. And we do what we say. And we get good quality projects.
I don't remember, John, that earlier said, did we talk about what we all work with? No, we're good with TIF districts, historical credits. I don't try, you know, if there's the PACE loans.
No. No, but you just did. No, we're very good about working with any program. I think we pioneered the first one to do EPA. We were the first one to do opportunities. We do about everything but SBA. That's the only one that really gives us a problem. But it doesn't mean that there's not a way to work around it. Thank God we got all these attorneys on the line. As long as we make all the attorneys happy, we're good to go. Any other questions? If not, if anybody has any projects we're thinking about, we'd like to talk to you, either now or give us a call at your convenience. So, thank you very much.